with whatever you got going.
Yeah, thank you. Just the truck driver and me got it all in here too. He just used a pallet jack, has a lift gate. He did it pretty much all by himself. I just helped sort of hold it steady. But we've got big box here. That one is heavy. And then we've got the smaller box here, which is of course the cap portion. So yeah, everything's here. So of course, if you have extra people, it is good to have. I will say, they send you a text and they said about an hour, and it ended up being a little over 2 hours before he actually got here. So you may want to just kind of wait if you have friends that are coming over, or have them nearby, but be ready to call them when the truck driver actually appears. Because if they had been here waiting, they would have waited for a couple hours and they probably wouldn't have been very happy with me. But again, we didn't need it. All right, so now that it's here, let me just do a really quick walk around to show you the condition of it. So they do a really good job packing these things, but these things go through hell, right? Like, as you can see, this corner got pried up a little bit there. So this big box is the rooftop tent portion of it. That smaller box is going to be the cap. But so this got pried up a little bit, right? Like this part's a little beat up, but looking in there, it looks like the tent itself is perfectly fine. So it's been packed really well. And then these straps have held it together. So these straps, you know, kept it from coming apart. Now this is hinged here too. So like that opens because of that, because those nails came out. There are some dings and dents up here too. But again, when we open it, I will, you know, show you full transparency exactly what it looks like. But I mean, look at this. They are rough on these things, right? I mean, like the wood is peeling off. Anyways, we're going to break into this. I'm going to start to tear this all apart. My goal is to get this all sort of apart, at least this box unboxed here, and then kind of lay everything out on the garage floor. So I'm going to start with pry bars and start prying this open, give you guys my tips as we get into it. But I think pry bars, just watch out for the nails, use the hinges, right, to pry up kind of the corners. We'll get it figured out. So I'm starting with the small box here. Just got some of these pry bars. I can put a link to these things. I got them off Amazon a while ago. But they work pretty good, and you get a few of them, different sizes. As you can see, this is working great so far. Now we are going to have to cut these straps. Those kind of hold everything together. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is there is a hinge at that end. I'm going from the other end, but I don't know that it really matters. So now that I've got it started, just carefully using my bigger pry bar here. So again, just being careful not to get these nails into the actual body of the thing. Also want to be careful not to impale your hands. All right, so now you can see in here, this is the cap. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. This is your butyl weather stripping, so we're gonna need that. This looks like it might be some accessories maybe. And then I believe this is the kitchen down in here, this big part. And then I think all the other, like wiring, the fan, all that stuff is in the kitchen. All right, so just to show you here really quick, I just got the first panel out. You can see the window's already in it, which actually I'm surprised by. I thought I was gonna have to put those in, so that's already taken care of. The rest are just down in here, and they're not that bad. They're not that heavy to lift out. So I'm just gonna lift each of these out, kind of lean them against my tool bench here, so that those are ready to go. So I'm going to throw this camera somewhere where you can kind of see what's going on. But everything's extremely well packaged, like all bubble wrapped, all looks brand new, smells new. Here's the back window. Again, window is installed in it. This is your third brake light right here. Looks awesome. This one must be my driver's side, because this one has the L-track mounted on it. And then this, oh, the kitchen's already attached. I thought I was gonna have to assemble a lot more, guys. This is really nice. And there's like, these I believe are your cable runs, your corner supports. So there are 4 of these, I can see them in here. But so these are the parts that you use to actually attach all 4 walls together. And then they also serve as cable runs, so you can run your cables through them. So we got that. And then this last bit here is the whole kitchen. So this may be heavier, but it's not bad. I mean, I can lift it all by myself. But so this whole thing here is the kitchen. That's everything that's in that box. So you got your 4 panels, your kitchen, your driver's side, or in my case, the driver's side, and then the front and the back. And that's everything that's in this box. It's empty now. Now, if you're wondering about disposal, I've had several rooftop tents come in boxes like these. They are kind of a pain to get rid of. So obviously you can't just take these somewhere unless you have one of those like recycling places that takes like oversized things. What I typically do is I'll take just like a sledge to this, like a 4-pound heavy hammer, and I'll just break this up into pieces. And then each week, it might take a few weeks, but then I will just put pieces of this in my trash cans until they're all gone. And I will just slowly whittle away at it and get rid of it. So just a tip, if you don't know what to do with these boxes and you don't want to store them, break them down with a hammer and then just slowly put them into, or a circular saw helps if you want to cut them into like slices, and then just start putting them in your trash. So got my buddy Brady here, and we are going to be assembling the cap now. What our thinking is, as you can see from these sweet pool noodles, is this is the big box. This thing weighs about 600 pounds. So with the two of us, we're going to sort of get on this side of it that we're trying to pull it out towards my driveway. And we're going to lower it as much as we can, but eventually we're going to have to let go, right? Like we can't support that with just the two of us. So what our thinking is, I had these pool noodles laying around, so we were going to throw those in between these straps back here to sort of soften the blow, and we're going to try and lower it down as much as we can and then just drop it. So see how this goes. But again, these things have been like dropped. Like I know they test them by just dropping them from like full height. They just knock it over and the packaging absorbs it. So again, we're going to try and lessen it. If it falls from 2 or 3 feet instead of 6 feet, then that's better, but I'll video this and we'll see how this goes.
Put your hand under that though.
Yeah.
When it falls, once it starts to go, it's good.
I'm just kind of doing this, I think. How far are we going now?
I got a lot of weight right now.
I know. I don't have very much. Look at there, I got more. What's about here?
This is about the next step. I mean, we can keep bringing it down some.
Ready? Let's just get.
I got an arm under it. I'm okay.
It's sliding.
Is
1, 2, 3, drop. I mean, the pool noodles did it. Okay, guys, that worked. All right, guys, so as you saw, the pool noodle trick worked pretty well, but then this thing was still kind of back in my garage. So what we did was, if you've got an overlanding rig and you have a winch like I do, we hooked up the Open Road Panther 2S to it, put a strap around these 2 blocks of wood down here. So basically went over the top, then down underneath these 2 blocks, and then back up through there, and then put a soft shackle on it to my winch, and then we just used that to drag it out, and it worked perfect. No problems at all. Drug it straight out. So, and if you rig it through the blocks and make it square, then it will pull straight. You can see it kind of went to the right a little bit because we did these 2 blocks. But if we'd done this one, it would have gone straight out. So anyways, just a tip. Use your winch. Mechanical advantage wins every time. All right, guys, so we got a game plan now. So again, we've got the big box open. Unfortunately, my solar panel is maybe just a little bit too long, so it's probably not going to work. They did cut the hole for my fan, though, at the back, which I appreciate. So that does give you a lot of room, but this thing is really, really long. So I'll let you know about a solution to that once I figure it out. But for the cap itself, so we've got the kitchen side, which this is the passenger. You're going to notice that you've got a flat edge here, and then you've got a slanted edge. The slanted edge is going to be the back. And that'll make sense to you if you know which side. So like, again, my kitchen is on the passenger side, so I know that this is going to be, you know, stood up and facing towards the passenger, which means that this has to be the rear. Then this panel here has the 3rd brake light on it, so you know that that is your rear panel. Then this one over here has the L track on it. That's my driver's side panel. And then you've got another one with a window, which is your front window. And as you notice, I think this may be an expanded one. Like, this is really big. I've heard people say that the windows are too small on these, or maybe it was the Kins. But that thing's huge. The one on the back is a little bit smaller, but that one behind the cab is actually pretty big. So you've got good line of sight through that. So then that's going to be the front piece. So basically what you have to do, according to what I've seen, is you notice this flat side here, and then on the other side, there's a flat side with these 4 bolt holes. We're going to run our butyl stripping down this side and down the other side, because that's what's going to seal that gap between the back of the bed, canopy, and the sides. So we're going to run a strip down there. Now, what I've heard from some Patreon subscribers and some other people that have commented on the videos is you want to go a little extra long. So if you think about this and look at this side here, let's say that you stop your stripping right here to try and conserve stripping, or to try and make it fit just perfect. If there's even just like a tiny minuscule little gap here, that's going to let pressure through and it's going to let dust come in and potentially rain, and you might have drips and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a slightly longer bead of the sealant. So I'm going to start it and maybe make it just go a little bit up so that it will get sandwiched between the tent and the cap part. And I'm going to run it all the way to the bottom, and again, maybe give it like a 1/4 inch extra on the bottom down here, because I can always cut it later. So if there's extra and I need to trim it back or snip it, I can do that. But what I don't want is to have any sort of a gap that's going to allow water or dust through. Now, another cool thing is you'll notice all these are threaded. I thought we were going to be dealing with a bunch of bolts and nuts and things, but the way that this goes together is basically just bolts into threaded nuts. So this is the support that's going to go inside of here. So once we stand this up and we've got our stripping on here, then we can attach that to that, and then we're going to put this piece in on the inside. And from what I can tell from their instructions, you do not have to put sealant between all these. These bolts are going to actually block these holes, and that's what's going to seal that all up. So I think we just have to do the stripping on this end and then that end, and then we'll probably do the same thing on the front, but I will get to that when we get to it. And then these braces go in there, and these are actually what the threaded parts are. So again, this is going to hold this piece there, and then this side here is going to hold the inside of the kitchen. So we're going to get into it, and I will show you that. Now, another nice thing that Hiperlion does is they've got these separated, and it's kind of worn off a little bit, but this one here says canopy assembly parts. And then this one says canopy tent connectors. So you know that this smaller bag is your connectors to actually attach the rooftop tent to the top of the canopy. So you don't have to mess with those right now. But we're just going to use these connectors to get this thing all connected. And then they give you this nice little wrench and then also a ratchet. And then those are your keys for the locks on all the sides. So as you can see, everything all the way around, all these latches lock, which is great. So and you get multiple keys. So that is where we're at. We are going to put this together now, and I'll give you tips as we go. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do here is just kind of take this stripping here. And again, I'm going to leave a little extra. So I'm going to just always go on the side of too much versus not enough. So I'm going to go to about right there. So I've got maybe 1/2 inch on each end. And then I'm just using these crappy Harbor Freight scissors to cut this stuff. I'm not left-handed either. Now, you know what they say, measure twice, cut once. So before I start to stick this, I just want to recheck it. So basically, how you line this thing up is, you'll notice that this has sort of like a U channel in it, right? So the middle section is where you want to drill your holes and where you want your bolts to go. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to line this up on the middle of these holes here. So these holes are where your bolts are going to go through. So we are just going to try and line this U channel up right on the middle there so that your bolts go right through it. So anyway, so make sure that your U channel lines up with those holes, because then you can drill your holes through it and you're not putting a hole through this channel or these hollow tubes, because then that could allow dust and rain and stuff in. So you want to make sure that's right on the center. And again, as you can see, I'm leaving about 1/2 inch extra on each end. So I'm going to kind of center that up. Okay, Brady just had a good idea. So what he said is, that's really smart. I'm gonna hold this here, and then I'm gonna get a Sharpie and have him mark the holes from the bottom, and then we're gonna drill through the Sharpie marks, and then our holes will be perfectly mounted. All right, so we just got it centered up here. I'm just using a Sharpie really quick to mark our holes. And then when we turn this over, then we can see exactly where we need to drill. So I'm gonna get the drill, put these holes right through these holes. We're gonna pull the adhesive off the back. We're gonna line those holes back up, stick it back on there, and we should be good to go. All right, guys, so what we've done is we've got our weather stripping on both sides of this thing now. And what we're gonna do is we went ahead and just pre-fed 4 of these bolts with washers on them. So we're gonna try and use washers everywhere that we can. Now these holes again are pre-threaded in the side panel here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try and get the top and the bottom ones in to sort of hold it together, and then we should be lined up for the middle ones. Get those all in there. At the same time, this is the back right support piece. And the way that this works is there's also a bunch of threaded nut certs in here and then here too. And you can see these 4 holes that run down here that are on the exterior of the side panel. This actually fits right back in there. And so again, you've got to kind of have this together first, but then you're going to put 4 nuts through the outside of that. And then there's these 4 holes here that go into these nut certs here. So then that just braces this whole thing and pulls it together. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of leave this piece just sort of sitting in here, but out of the way. We're going to tilt these together, and then we're going to start to drive these nuts in.
We'll get a couple
okay, so the first one is in it. Oh yeah. So you guys can see alignment is going to be your problem, right? That's the tricky part, but just take your time. Don't get frustrated. That is my MO, just typically to get annoyed and frustrated. But I'm going to try and hold this one just as straight as I can. And then if you can kind of be my eyeballs and like try and get that, help me get it lined up, then I can be the turner if you tell me when we're in. So just be patient, guys, right? Like just don't get too, all right, I got at least a few threads on there. Okay. All right, so as you guys just saw, 2 people is definitely gonna be recommended for this. Like you could do it by yourself, but it's gonna be more frustrating. So now at this point, we've got the top one in, we've got the bottom one in. We just got to get these 2. And yeah, to Brady's point, they should just kind of go. And this is why they give you this extended sort of nut driver here, Allen wrench key to reach back in here. You could use a drill too if you have that sort of thing. But I mean, really, we're talking about, what, 12 bolts per corner. Third one going in. All right, so once these are all 4 in, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to tighten them because I don't want to have anything shaking loose on trails and stuff. So I'm going to put them, give them a good old good and tight. I'm not going to any particular torque spec here, but I'm just going to get them nice and tight as I possibly can. They're also nut certs, so I want to be a little cautious not to put too much torque on them because I worry that they could rip out. So I'm just going to get them good and hand tight here. And then probably what I would recommend is like down the road every 3-6 months, just check things. Just make sure nothing's come, you know, rattled loose, that none of these are sticking out or have gotten loose. That's just good practice with pretty much any bed rack or cap. All right, guys, so we got all 4 of those in there nice and tight. You can see the seal down through here looks great. I mean, so now the next challenge is going to be this support piece. But again, they make this nice and easy on you, right? So this says back right, which is as you're looking from the back of your truck towards the front. And you'll notice that this has an angle on it too, which also kind of is a tip. But this is going to go like this. So now we're just going to literally put the 4, all we got to do is line up these 4 bolts and washers to go through there, and then the same down that side, and we will be done with this corner. We're just going to repeat that on all 4 corners. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you this on the other side here in a second, but just to let you know, this went together great. So again, once you get this all nice and tight in here, then you put that brace in there, and you just kind of eyeball and line up those holes with the nut certs in them. But then we were able to finger tighten every one of these, all 4 of these down this side, all 4 of those down that side. And then now we're just tightening them down with the wrench that it came with. So another thought we just had is instead of necessarily, you know, lining it up on the truck for the stripping stuff, I just measured the length, and now everybody's might be different. You know, I imagine they're probably pretty similar. I have a 2023 Frontier Pro 4X. This is exactly 26 inches long. So if you want a 1/2 inch on each side, we could just cut this to 27 inches, and then that should give us the 1/2 inch on each side. And that way we don't have to like lay it down and do all that. So just a tip, just an idea I just had halfway into it that we could just measure this and then attach it that way. So, all right, so just to show you this, we kind of put this together. We just literally threw this in here like, and just eyeballed it, lined it up. And then we started aligning these, and these things are machined perfectly. Like, there's no variance, you know, like you would be concerned about with something that you would imagine buying off Alibaba, right? Like you'd think that the holes would be slightly off or something. And so far they've been dead on. I mean, once we get one lined up and the rest of these just go right in, no problem. And you can see the seal in there too is super nice. Now, one other thing that we did think about and have learned is we're gonna have to cut off these top parts. So, you know, leaving extra is the safe way to do it for sure. That definitely doesn't hurt anything. But then at the end, when this is all done, before we put the rooftop tent on, we're going to run one continuous bead, one continuous seal all the way across the top. So just a big long strip. You're going to V the corners, like cut a V into the inside so that you can bend it, but keep that strip one piece. So you do not want this sticking up at the top because it'll get in the way of that and interfere with that seal. So basically we put it just flush right to the top there, and then we're going to run another seal over it. And then of course the rooftop tent is going to act as a roof too, but just the better your seals, the less you have to worry about dust, the less you have to worry about rain, that sort of thing. So when you get to this fourth panel here, the one thing we just realized is because we did the sealant on both ends of it, we're already done with the sealing part. So we don't need to do any more sealant. Now all we have to do is just line up the holes here, get this side attached, put the braces in, and then we're ready to mount this on the truck. Now, honestly, we've been talking a lot. I've been recording it. I couldn't find half my tools. It's probably taken us about an hour so far of actual work, when you think? Yeah, probably about an hour. So I bet in an hour and a half to 2 at the most, we'll be done putting this together. and probably even have it mounted on the truck. Now all we have to do after this is take the whole thing as an assembly, set it on the back of the truck, and then use the clamps to attach it, but I'll show you that in more detail here in just a second. So another note is, if you have a kitchen like I do, that side's a little more tricky because the kitchen box itself gets in the way. Now that we're on this side, I mean, it's a piece of cake. Everything is very visible and really easy to get to, so this side should go a lot quicker. All right, so we have the whole cap together. It was actually surprisingly easy, and it looks awesome. It looks super high quality. Like, I'm really, really happy with it. And like I mentioned, everything went together perfectly. Like, I mean, the holes are not misaligned. It's in really good shape. I will say the only thing that kind of happened in shipping is there's like a little scuff here and a scuff there. But I mean, if that's the worst that happened over the course of a month going from China to the US, you know, like, kind of okay with it. So there, you know, just a little scuff here and there, but nothing crazy, and it went together really well. So now we've got to get it up on the truck. But before we do that, we're going to set this up, we're going to tilt it up, and we're going to put sealant along the bottom of every place that doesn't have sealant. Now on the back, there is a big heavier duty seal down there for the tailgate, I'm assuming. So that one's already protected. But so then we're just going to do the sides, and we're going to do the back especially, because on the Frontier, you'll notice like the sides here, really big, right? So you can seal that up pretty easy, but this back part is very, very thin. So we want to put the seal as far towards the front as possible because I want to make sure that I get that sealed up. Now, you have to keep in mind too that the rooftop tent will be hanging over all this, basically acting as a roof. So I'm not terribly concerned about it, but mostly just dust. I just don't want to have a big gap up here in the front that's then just sucking dust in and getting all my stuff dirty. So we are going to tilt this thing up on its end, and then we're just going to line the whole thing with a singular seal that runs from the front to the back, and we're going to call it a day. Get it on the truck. All right, guys, so as you just saw from that time lapse, we have now gotten a buffer of butyl lining all the way around the top and the bottom. So a couple tips with this. On the bottom, we started under the sort of where the tailgate door opens. So there is that sort of rounded off corner that you can see right down there. So that rounded off corner is connected to then the side piece. So I started all the way in there because I want to seal it as much as possible. And then I ran it all the way out, one consistent piece all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, and then back to the same rounded piece over on this side. That way you've got one continuous seal. Now on the top, Brady made a great point, which is that the back here, closest to the cab, is the part that's the least exposed, right? Because it's underneath the rooftop tent. So we basically started, and you can see this gap right here. We started right here in the middle, ran it all the way around. Now, a tip for V'ing these in the corner, basically right where it hits, where it connects with the other one, maybe even a tiny bit past it. If you cut right there, then it gives you a nice clean bend. You can see that one is a little bit short, right? But then over here, I went to right just past it, and then that one's a lot cleaner. So go just a little bit past, you know, where you want to turn it, and then cut your V in, and then that should give you plenty. But then I just ran this right down the middle, and then I got this as close as I possibly could there and reconnected it. But then again, that rooftop tent is going to sit on top of all this and act as sort of a ceiling to protect it. But we also, another note, did this on the ground because we're going to throw this on top of the truck right now. But then the plan is tomorrow to have a bunch of buddies come over to help with that big guy. Throwing that up on top because that thing is really, really heavy. So we want to do as much stuff while it's on the ground as possible. Tomorrow we are going to attach the fan. Right now I've just set it in there. I've opened this up just to kind of check it out a little bit, but then this whole big old thing is going to get lifted up really high on top of my really tall lifted truck and be put up there on top. And it's going to be really easy, Brady. And everyone's going to have a great time. It's going to be so fun. All right, guys, so we got the cap on. This thing is heavy. It's about 175 pounds, but then it also has the kitchen on it. Mine does, which they told me is about 45 pounds. So this thing all said and done is about 220. Myself and a buddy did it, just the two of us. It was a struggle, especially because, as you can see, my truck is lifted quite a bit, and then I'm on 33s. So, I mean, until this weight settles down on here, I got a lot of gap there. So this thing it's quite a lift. I mean, you're basically getting this up to like chest level to get this thing up here. But again, 2 of us were able to do it, kind of wrestle it on there, not too bad. One thing that I have noticed, and actually one of my subscribers pointed this out, is there's kind of a gap back here. So I'm gonna reach out to them and ask them about that, if they have like a piece or something that will go in there to solve that, to fit that gap. Now I did, as you saw, I did put seal all the way along the bottom there. It just doesn't quite reach it. The way that these frontier beds are, it leaves about a 1/2 inch gap down below there. Also, I'm not really loving the fact that right now the length of these bolts makes it so I have to attach it to the bed itself, especially because I have this Utilitrack right down below here. So I'm actually going to go to the hardware store with the threaded part and the bolt. And I'm going to see if I can find some that are about 1 inch longer, and then I should be able to just lock this in to the channel. Now on this side too, because of the kitchen, you can see I actually had to reverse these, because then I could put the impact on it from the bottom instead of having to hand crank this thing all the way up. So I think that reversing those on this side with the kitchen is probably your best bet. And I think even if I do have slightly longer, longer bolts, by the time I drop down here into this channel, I should still be okay and not running into the bottom of the kitchen. A couple other things, the latches, really super impressed with these things. Like, these things are super heavy duty. The gas struts are extremely nice. So, I mean, as you see, I didn't even touch it. It just goes straight up. I love the MOLLE on the inside. I really like this L-track and MOLLE on the outside here. So you've got all kinds of options for mounting things. Then you've got this pass-through inside. My plan is to probably build some sort of like a bench over here with a top that you can pop off, and then I'm going to put all my electronics under there with dedicated charging cables for each one. So I can plug my cameras in, my drone, my chainsaw batteries, all that stuff will go right down here with a bench that you could sit on. But then when you want to access it, you open up this side, you know, you pop off this top. I'm probably going to use like cabinet magnets to hold the top down, maybe put like a cushion on top of it, but you could just pop this open, get in to get your stuff straight from the side, and then you're good to go. So quick access to things. You got some MOLLE back here around the back window, which is really nice. And then over here on this side, again, more MOLLE up here. So for kitchen stuff, you gotta be careful because it's also kind of goes into the kitchen body itself. So you do wanna make sure you have enough room. This thing's really nice. I mean, here's the gap up front. As long as I can solve for that gap between the bed and the cap, I think we're solid there. Now, one more note is this thing, right? I've heard that it's 220 pounds. This thing is heavy, really heavy. And there's not a lot inside of it to take out right now. So there's the mattress, there's the insulation kit is in there, and then like the pieces for the pass-through are in the back, but that's pretty much it. So I don't think you can take more than 20-30 pounds max out of this thing. And I mean, I honestly, if it's 220, like I could lift up the cap like it was nothing, but I can't even lift this thing from one end. So when I go to one end here and try and lift this thing up, I can barely get it off the ground. So I think even with 4 guys, 1, it's gonna be really heavy and tough to get up above your head. And then 2, because of the height of my truck, because of how lifted it is, and then because of the height of this cap, I think it's fine from a height standpoint for the shark fin. So that's great. It's where it should be. The height is correct. But then to get this thing up there, I do not even think it's possible with people. Like, not on my truck, not with the height that my truck is with that cap on top of it. So I'm going to pursue some options to try and see if I can find someone that has some sort of like a forklift or maybe a shop where we could bring this thing and put it on like a car lift and drive underneath of it and then set it down on top of it. Like, there's got to be some options like that. So I'm gonna have to do some problem solving on that, but there'll be more updates to come on that. I do like, they did leave in this channel out here, they left the hooks that they used to crane this thing up in their factory. So I'm planning to just probably use those with some sort of like straps or something attached to a forklift or attached to some sort of like a bucket, like a excavator or something like that. If I could find like a contractor that I know that maybe has something like that, just to, I mean, I think it's easy to lift and get centered and then drop 8 bolts into, but it's just going to be very difficult to do by hand with people. So that is the update where we're at right now. So luckily I know cool people and we ended up finding a solution. My buddy Cody has a forklift at his work and he also has a small trailer. So we actually, the 2 of us, lifted the rooftop tent onto this trailer and strapped it down and then drove it across town to his workplace and pulled out his forklift, and we used that to get the tent in place. And I tell you what, that was a game changer for sure. It was still a little bit challenging and we'll talk about that here in a second, but it was the only way that we were going to get that thing up there, and it allowed us to mount it in about 2 hours probably. So I'd say all said and done, maybe 4 hours total for this install. All right, guys, so we got some clarification from Hyperlion. These metal bars that come wrapped up in saran wrap are actually, it's really cool, intended to be like a guide for the bolts. So we've got the forklift, we got the 10 up on it on straps, and then basically what it looks like to me is there's 2 that have 4 notches in them, and then there's 1 that has 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 down each side, and we're going to use these to line them up. So you're going to put your bolts up into this T-channel here, slide them in there, and then you're going to take your guide and you're essentially going to use this to space out those bolts like that. So you're going to use this piece of metal to space out these bolts, and then we're going to do the 3 across the back. So there will be 3 bolts total. You can see Cody kind of using this thing to line them up here. So you just kind of use this as a template, right? And then when you get those around it, and then also if you want to move the bolts side to side, you could just pull that piece of metal left and right and then move them all at the same time, but they stay in the right place, which is genius. It's actually a pretty good little idea. So we're going to do that on both sides 4 times, those sides, 3 on the back, and then we're going to use the forklift to lift it up and put it on top of the truck. Get those bolts lined up and driven through, put the nuts on them, and once that's strapped down, then we're done. We're done. We're sold. All right, so we just drove it over here, and now Cody is lifting it up. You can kind of see the underside here. All those bolts, that's the pass-through right there. That's how you know this is the back. You're plenty far over it. I wonder if you got to go, yeah, left. There you go. Cody is forklift certified, which helps with this and makes me feel a lot better. It's so scary. So obviously if you have someone doing this, you want to do someone that you trust or someone that's super experienced on a forklift. But I mean, the good thing is you can take your time with the forklift. It's not like you have 4 guys trying to lift this thing up over their heads. I mean, look at how tall this is. It's probably, I'm 6'2", and when I put my hands up, my hands could go over the top of the cap. But I mean, you'd literally have to deadlift this thing from the ground up into the air and then above your heads with your arms extended straight. So even with, 4 to 6 guys, still sketchy. You're gonna be like half an inch off, maybe, you think?
Probably somewhere in there.
No, and we're also not on the back, but we're close. We're real close.
I've got side shifted forks. I can see
yeah.
right. I just want to make sure I'm close.
So see, now I'm sitting inside. The forklift is holding this up. Cap is on. It's over the truck. And then what I'm doing is I'm just going down. So Cody, obviously working the forklift, I'm going down along here and I'm just lining up all these bolts with the holes. And then our thinking is, as he just keeps lowering it millimeter by millimeter, I'm just need to make sure these poke right through those grommets, and then we need to put the nuts on them, and then we're done. So it's all about measuring twice, cutting once, right? Taking your time, making sure it's going down through the center. So like you can kind of see this one's a little bit forward. So like when he lowers it down a minuscule amount more, I'll just push that back a tiny bit. And then as they start to poke through, then it's just going to sit down there and we're just going to have to put nuts on it. So should be pretty straightforward from here. All right, guys. So first walk around of the Hyperlion on the truck. We just got it on with the forklift. Plenty of clearance over the cab. What I'll probably do is either put the cab rack that I had back on or maybe get a different one. I'll have to figure out what's going to work with this because this thing is massive. Like, as you can see, I mean, it is really long. So it goes quite a ways down over the cab. So you almost just have room for like a fairing at the front and not even really much else. But I believe that there are some that people have modified to work that should work okay. But I mean, this thing pops open really easy. These latches are really easy to get to. So you've got 4 latches up here. My buddy noticed that you can pull these pins, so they have like a nut on them. You can screw these out and it's threaded on the other side. So what I'm gonna probably do is move this one to the outside, because right now they're all on the right side. So like this one is a little bit tricky, probably just this one. I mean, the ones on the back are really accessible, but then just so you don't have to reach over into the middle of the truck here, I may move that to this side. But aside from that, like, I mean, it looks great. It goes up really, really easy. One thing that was tricky, as you saw in the video earlier, is just getting these bolts lined up. So we ended up with 4 on each side, so a total of 8, and then 3 across the back. And you just, especially even with the forklift, it was still tricky to get them all sort of lined up. So you just have to go really slow. What we did was we started to put them in, and as they started to pop through, then we would put a nut loosely, like finger tight, onto each bolt, and then kind of maneuver it a little bit more. And if we got one to pop over here, then we would put a nut on that, and we just kind of worked our way around, slowly moving it until we got all 11 of the bolts in. One thing to note too is this very back bolt back here is really close to the end of the channel. So just a note, that seems to be part of the design. So that's not the best, but I mean, it's still in the channel. We still were able to get it just in the channel so that it's catching. And I'd rather have one just kind of just on the edge of the channel than pulling it out and not having one. So again, 11 total bolts hold this thing in now. Seems super sturdy. I just pushed all the stuff back and popped it up. But so you can see just how big this thing is too, right? And then all these panels pop out, and then you've also got these sort of molly looking panels at the back here if you want to really, you know, use the full length of the thing. But I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm really happy with it. So I'm on my first drive home in the truck with the camper on it, and I just want to say I'm on a pretty like rough patch of like concrete slab road. And I think with that, just a little bit of extra weight on it, it rides so much smoother now, which obviously, I mean, you know, that makes sense. It was bucking around like a buckboard before, but even with the old stuff on it, this feels smoother. So it almost makes me wonder how heavy it is. I'm going to put it on the scales when I'm back from vacation, so I will have more info on that, what it weighs with just literally the difference between the truck with just the camper on it. But again, just rides so much smoother with the extra weight on the back and sits just right. All right, guys, so as you can see, we got the Hiperlion on last night with the use of a forklift. If you had some sort of a gantry crane, honestly, I would say it would be easier. We had to do some fine adjustments with the forklift, but luckily my buddy who was driving it is certified. If it had been me, like renting a forklift, I would have had trouble. So there are some strategies for it, but definitely once it kind of sits down, really easy, right? I used an impact, drew them all together. The ones that I couldn't reach, I just used a hand wrench and just got them as tight as possible. My plan is to, you know, go on my first trip, come back, sort of recheck things, do that for the first few months at least, and then periodically every quarter, every 6 months, just kind of recheck everything, make sure everything is tight. But so yeah, the camper is on there. So now to kind of wrap up this video, I'm going to do a water intrusion test here in a minute. But before I get there, I'm going to show you a couple of mods and changes that I'm making to it just immediately to improve a couple things. So bear with me, let me go through those first, and then we'll do the water intrusion test. All right, so as far as the doors and latches go, everything is really nice. Good quality. Also, though, look like kind of Amazon type specials. So if anything ever went wrong, I'm kind of picturing that I could probably find these exact same things on Amazon. So I think from a replacement standpoint, at least you're not talking about crazy proprietary stuff. Like it should be relatively easy to find replacement bits and pieces, right? Same with gas struts, that sort of thing. I think a lot of this is going to be fairly universal and pretty easy to replace. So that's a good thing. The only thing that you would lose is your keying, right? So if you had to replace one, let's say, you're probably gonna have to replace all 6 of the latches to keep your keys the same, or you're gonna have to carry multiple keys. So just something to think about. Now, one of the first things that I am gonna change, and actually it's funny because I asked Hiperlion about this, right? So I asked them, on this, as you can see, this side, super taut, and I kind of thought, well, maybe it's because of this, and it may be that just because this gas strut attaches there, it shortens this, and they probably cut these to be identical. But so then what that does is it leaves play in this side, so it doesn't actually sit level. And actually, I would like to lower it down even more because it kind of tilts back. Even if this was equidistant, it still kind of tilts to the back. So, but when I asked them, well, how do I solve this? They said, well, actually, this cord runs all the way through the bottom. It's just one continuous run of cord that then goes up to these. There's a couple of pieces sort of similar to these here. This is what the other end also looks like. There's these little tightenable sort of locking pieces that you basically just sandwich the cord into. That's what the top looks like. So then what they said was that it should just be one cord that runs the entire length of this and then out the other side, which then would allow you to sort of level it, right? Like let's say that you're slightly off camber here a little bit and you wanted to kind of pull it out this side a little bit, you should be able to do that. And that's what they said, how they're doing it. So maybe they're doing that now, but when they built mine, they were still doing it with the 2 cable method, and then they found that sort of problem that people were having and they fixed it. So yours may come with the line run all the way across. If not, though, what I'm going to do is just buy, 10-15 feet of this cable. I'll put a link in the description below to whatever I'm going to pick up, and I'm going to do exactly what they described. So I'm going to take the end caps off of this up in there, and I'm going to drop this cord down through, put an end cap on it, run my cord through this end, out the other end, up and back through, and then put the cable stop on the end of that one, and then just make sure that it is to the length that I want. So I'm going to run a bigger amount first before I cut it, and I'm going to get it set up to where I want, and then I'm going to get it locked in, and I'll cut it down to the right total length that I need to keep this table level. So that is a thing that is, again, like the jankiest thing that I found so far is that. Not a huge concern, pretty easy to fix. I'm not terribly worried about it, but just pointing it out that is something that either hopefully they fixed in their design by the time you get yours, or you know, I'll do a detailed video when I actually do the replacement, but that's my plan. It seems like it's going to be pretty straightforward, but again, I'll do a video later on with any challenges that I've got, tips and tricks, kind of show it in action as I'm doing that process to fix that. Now, aside from this, I mentioned this earlier in the video too, the clamps that they give you are actually great. And I realized earlier on, and I may have cut this out of the video, but I had these on upside down originally with the longer pieces going up into the camper. And then what I realized was, well, actually, I kind of want the longer piece down so that these things sit square and more flush and don't stick out. So now that's what I've done. I've only got 6 on here right now. And the reason for that is that they're about 5-inch bolts, which right now allows me just to get under my bed frame. And the thing is, this is just sort of thin metal up under here. So it doesn't make me feel super great. If this thing gets to rocking back and forth, it just doesn't make me feel good. But I've got the Utilitrack in my truck. So I think this is fine, right? Like I'm sure with 8 of these, I mean, if 4 on each side, you're going to have plenty of grip, and you'd probably be totally fine on the bed rack. I'm just kind of doing overkill. So what I did was I actually ordered some 6-inch bolts that are the same thread pitch and, you know, just an inch longer. And I'm going to replace these with these slightly longer bolts. Again, I'll put a link to these in the description below. I bought 2 of these because they come in sets of 5 and I needed 8. So I did buy 2 of these, but it was like 18 bucks for all 10 of these, I believe. So then that will replace your hardware, and that will give you that extra length that you need to get down here into the Utilitrack. So I'm going to do that here in just a second. And then the final thing is I also bought this thicker foam seal. And the reason for that is that, at least on the Frontier, there is about, if you can see it in here, a 1/2-inch gap just right there where, because of the way that the bed is, there's the raised rails, and then there's this like lower portion. So my plan is to get back in here in the back of the bed of the truck, and then to feed that in. You can kind of see it back there. You can see that gap, that light there. Just to put that and run it all the way around that back edge of the bottom of the cap. All right, so now we're going to try and seal up this gap. It's kind of interesting because actually the stock seal gets pretty close in some spots. Like it's just a little bit off. It's only really over here where the seal doesn't quite catch. And actually I've kind of thought about it, and I don't know that I'll be able to reach it on the outside because the camper is on now. So if you have yours on the ground, before you ever put this on, go to the link in the description below for this thick sealing tape that I'll put down there, and buy this beforehand. It's like 10 bucks or something, 10 or 15 bucks. And then when you have your camper on the ground, before you seat it up here, just go ahead and attach this to the bottom of the camper. That way then you won't have to do this like I am, because now I'm kind of stuck. So what I think I'm going to do instead, because of my situation, is I'm going to attach it to the bed of the truck from the bottom and just sort of sandwich it up here in between the bed of the truck and the existing seal. That's what I'm going to have to do. So we shall see. Like I'm already seeing little holes in the bed back here just from manufacturing. There's like a little hole in a couple spots, like right in there is one, and there's one on the other side too. So there's just gonna be some dust getting in here, and it's probably gonna take a little bit of doing to sort of seal this thing up 100%. But definitely this big gap in the back is my main concern right now, so that's what I'm gonna focus on first. So as you might be able to see here, because the camper is already on, this is difficult to get this up in here. So what I'm kind of doing instead right now, and we'll see how this works. I don't have any guarantees here, but I'm just doing my best, is I may just run this along the bottom, because again, really it's this corner over here is the one that's the worst, has the biggest gap in it. And the seal that comes with it is really close. Like over here, it's a few millimeters maybe. So what I'm doing instead right now is I'm still using this same stuff, but I am working to basically create a lip below. This stuff's extremely sticky, so I'm kind of just filling in that little gap with the foam. And by doing that, then it's sealing that gap. Even though I'm not getting this like sandwich between it, which would be my preference, I'm still getting it like stuck up there really good. And this stuff is kind of a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. But it's cheap, so you get what you pay for, I guess. So you see what I'm doing here, right? So I'm just pushing this up as tight as I can against the existing seal, sort of fill in the gap. And I will say I got two strands of this stuff, and it almost seems like it's just about perfect, if not a tiny bit long, for the full width of the bed. So It's good that you'll have backup in case you would need it. I just want this to go as far down as it can go to the very edge. And that is just about perfect. So let me show you what I did here. So, you know, you can see right there is a hole in the bed, and over here is a hole. So maybe I might RTV those, because there's those, and then I know for a fact I've got these giant drain holes down here that I'm gonna have to seal up too. So, you know, for dust, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge, just with any cap, right? Any cap is gonna be like this. You're gonna have to look for like holes in the frame where dust and dirt can come through, and you need to seal those up as best you can. Now, obviously, this is going to keep a ton of dust out. I mean, even if you get some, it's gonna be far less than you would with an open bed rack, but still, it's gonna be a kind of a battle, I think, just to kind of keep everything out. So I will keep you guys in the loop on that. I'm sure I'll do a video at some point saying how to combat the dust, blah, 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 blah. But so those are the main things. That's pretty much it. After all this said and done, I mean, the way that it goes together is really nice with all the threaded, like nut-serted fittings. So all you have to do is just put bolts in. There's no bolts and nuts. You're not trying to get 2 wrenches on it or anything like that. Like, it was really easy to put together. And then the top, again, aside from just lining it up, it's just 11 bolts. And after that, I mean, you can see there's no light getting in there. It's totally sealed up with that top seal that we put on it. It's really nice. And then I'm going to take you inside here too and just kind of give you a quick, you know, turn around inside of it so that you can see what it looks like. I'm going to show you the outside here too so you can kind of see everything. You know, ignore my basketball goal. But, I mean, this thing is ginormous. It's huge. I mean, just the usable space in there is enormous. So I'm super excited about all that enclosed space. Thinking winter, rainstorms, hailstorms, future expos and things, to have this much space to change clothes in, to work in, to relax in, is just gonna be really nice. Now, one more quick note is that they do include this ratcheting strap, and at first I was like, what is this for? So I pinged them and asked, and what they actually said was they sent me a little video that I can share with you guys if you want to see it. They basically attach it like where the struts attach, and then they use this to sort of pull it down, put tension on it, and then like release the gas pressure. So I guess these are adjustable gas struts. So if you're having trouble getting it down, or it's too loose and or too light and they're not lifting the thing, then you can actually use this to kind of pull in the gas struts so that then you can adjust them and increase or decrease pressure. So I don't know specifically how to do that yet. I just know that that's what they told me this is for. Again, mine's been fine, so I'm just leaving it, but wanted you to know so you don't have questions, why is there a ratcheting strap in my tools? So just some quick tips on your fan. Of course, I haven't wired it yet because we just got this on here the other day, but basically what we did was we drilled little pilot holes for all the holes on the top, and then we inserted our screws in, just took our time, made sure that they seated down good, that they didn't get stripped at all. Then I just put on the handle, which obviously has some teeth inside of it, goes on there, and then there's a little small sort of set screw, you could call it, that goes in the middle. Then this allows you to quickly sort of open this. And then once this thing is powered, of course, then you could turn on your fans and you could be sucking air in or blowing it out. It goes both ways. You've got those 2 adjustments here on the button. But then, of course, when you're done camping, let's say, and you want to go home, then you want to pull that in, and you want to turn it, and it does get tight. So I do like that. It does feel like it holds it down and keeps it from opening again, which for waterproofness, I think is great. Now, here's the inside. As I mentioned, I was going to kind of show you guys the inside. When you pop your camper up, here's how it attaches. It's just little turn screws. So you basically just turn these things, that little bar goes up, you got one on each side, that holds the walls into the roof and makes this thing into like a big rigid box. So now you've got this whole camper. You've got this little storage pocket up here, which has your power for your LED strip, which runs along the back here. So again, eventually I'm going to probably just run these all into one wire run that I will run into my Red Arc stuff down below. And then I will use that to sort of activate it. Like I will just turn on power to the camper, for example, is kind of what I'm thinking. And then that power will include power to the fan, power to the LED lights, which have a switch built into them. So you can turn them on and off from there. And then also, when I do my built-ins down here, the plan is to build a big long bench along this side. And in that bench is where I'm gonna put chainsaw batteries, drone batteries, just anything that I'm gonna use will be inside of a bench here. I can use the bench then to climb up on top here. And also I could sit on it. So if I'm at camp and I wanna sit down, I can sit on this bench, which will probably be about Utilitrack height, I would say. And so that's kind of my plan. All the power stuff that's in this box is going to go along the back wall here. And then I think we're going to actually build sort of like a power wall up here where we can mount the inverter, all the Red Arc stuff. We can wire everything through the wood so all the cords are sort of hidden down the back, and then run down to the batteries down here. and then do built-ins along the back, and then a thinner sort of bench over here that will be where my like recovery gear, air compressor, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Diesel heater will probably be over in this area somewhere. So just trying to mount as many things as I possibly can sort of semi-permanently in here so that I don't have to mess with packing too much when I go on a trip. So then one more note here is this is the bottom finishing piece here for the fan. So I do need to pre-drill some holes and put that up there if I want to finish it. It actually doesn't look bad at all right now, but if you want to fully finish it out, there's just 4 holes, 1 in each corner, and it comes with these screws for that too, just little short guys, just to sort of finish that out and make it look nice. And then this last package here is actually your controller. So you will wire your positive and negative into that green block there on the end. And then it actually has a USB-C or a barrel plug on the end, so you can kind of decide how you want to power this thing, and then it has a built-in switch there in the middle. So again, I can turn on power from the red arc just to the whole camper to start charging all my batteries. Also provide power to the fan and the LED light up there, and then just basically turn them on or off as I need them. Now these panels under here kind of look like Molly panels. These are actually fill panels for the backpack here. So you could use this entire space. Like you can use this full length to like store stuff, keep your gear up there. So like what I think you would use those for most likely is you would essentially put these panels back here, and then you could throw your shoes on it. You could throw your clothes on it if you're changing clothes, your backpack, if you have your, let's say your laptop or an iPad or something up there. If your kids have stuff and you want to throw it down here on these panels, you could do that while utilizing the full length of the bed up there. Now, a couple of other quick notes. Mine came with these sort of like shade style things, and they're just fine. I'm okay with them. But what I would probably have gone with, and just I'm telling you guys this so that if you are thinking of ordering this, that you raise your hand and ask about this. I believe they have some like zip up style covers that provide total blackout. That's more my style. I'm either gonna have them open or I'm gonna have them closed, right? Like that's just how I'm gonna do it. So I would want the more like blackout style. Now on the ends there, you see this thing laying over here. This is a Velcro screen and a Velcro blackout sheet. So the end ones you can do that too. And if I turn around here, this is what it looks like with the full blackout thing on it. So this just Velcros up around the window. It works great. But these are kind of nice on the ends. You've got these complete blackout pieces. But you may want to ask if you don't want the shade style, these like curtains. I mean, they actually work pretty nice. You just kind of pull them down. You got to watch your latches a little bit, but then they just kind of slide down and you can really easily, quickly, kind of like a motorhome or something, close your screens. But if you prefer a different style, just ask your contact at Hiperlion and see what they can do for you. All right, guys, so a moment that a lot of you have been waiting for. I'm going to do a quick water intrusion test on this. Pretty sure I've closed all the windows and everything, but I'm going to be spraying from the ground. I just have my hose over here. I'm just going to try and spray the bejesus out of it as much as I possibly can. I'm going to spray it at the windows, up at the top. I'm going to kind of let it rain down from the top. I'm just going to hit it for like 2-3 minutes with water, and then at the end I'll open it and I'll let you know if there's any water coming in anywhere. So let's kind of do that test here really quick. I'm going to keep it on just to kind of show you what I'm doing, give you an idea. Our water pressure also sucks here, so. And keep in mind that the rain's going to be coming from the top down usually, so should never have it spraying up like this, but we're just trying to do an extra hard test on it. Particularly, I'm going to target the hinges and the windows. And the lower panels all around those. You can get it up on the roof too. Test those little pinholes that I found. Alright, so without cutting, I'm going to just take you straight in there so you know that there's no funny business going on here. I mean, as you can see, I hit the windows. Now I'm coming from a lower angle, so I don't know how accurate this is going to be, but you'll notice there are clearly like some drip holes here where the water's coming out of, so that's nice that it's going to drain itself. I mean, I sprayed all the windows, all the corner joints. I sprayed all these hinges, these piano hinge style things. Put a ton of like just gallons of water all up over the top and everything. Sprayed each of the doors all the way around them. Again, not a typical, like, I'm less worried about rain than I am about you know, spraying water, like I sprayed water into the window here. But so now let's just open it up here. See what we got. Drain some of that out of there. Turn the water off here. Sorry. I just don't want to cut because I want you guys to know that I didn't do anything here. Water's off. Okay. We're gonna open it up. So we got water along this tailgate, the external part, right? Which makes sense. But like inside of it, it's the only place we've got water is coming through this stock part right here. There's a stock hole there if you can see through the sun. Looks like a tiny bit got in right there. Also, I've not sealed my tailgate. So I do have a tailgate seal kit that I would recommend. I'll put a link to the one that I've got down there. But so the only places where I'm seeing water right now, initially, is right back here where it came in through the tailgate. On both sides. I mean, but looking in here, looking up top, I don't see any water anywhere. Let me stand up in here. I mean, like, you know, sorry the camera's backwards because I had it pointing backwards, so I can't really see what I'm doing right now, but there's nothing, no wet spots anywhere up top. All the cloth is totally dry. The inside of this thing is totally dry. So, I mean, main concerns would be obviously water leakage into the cabin portion. But I mean, you can see I sprayed straight into these windows and you got nothing in here all the way around, totally dry. So that's great. Nothing coming through the hinges, nothing dripping from the windows, nothing dripping from the top, which that would be the only places that, you know, there's a seal up here on the top, but it's also meant to come apart because you can pull these walls down. But because of the nature of it, because of how it kind of goes over the top, especially with actual real rain where you're not spraying up from the bottom, there's really no way mechanically for water to get in here from the top, unless, like someone said, one of those holes in the polyurethane cover that they spray on the top has a hole in it, but not through the fan either. Fan's totally waterproof, no water in through there, so that's great. Not too bad. All right, guys, so that will do it for the assembly instructions, initial impressions, water intrusion test, and tips and tricks video for the Hiperlion Alibaba camper. If you have any questions, of course, post up in the comments down below. I'm happy to help. I, you know, don't work for these guys or anything. I paid money for mine. I bought mine. But so I wanted to share it with you guys because it's just such a compelling budget option for people like me that have, you know, a Nissan. I'm not, you know, rolling around in an Ineos or anything like that. So I want to save money wherever I can. I love the idea of the camper. I like the enclosed bed style campers. I like how much room I have up top. I love the fact that it's hard walled, which means that it's going to be way quicker, way easier to sort of tear down, you know, pack up at camp. If it does get wet, you can just pop it right back up. The dry walls are going to dry. All that water is going to go out of those weep holes and you're good to go, which means no more tucking fabric, no more walking around tucking fabric, hailstorms, strong winds, winter, better insulation, better noise canceling, deadening, if you will. So just a ton of benefits to this hard-sided camper. And for $5,000, you're really easily in the range of a rooftop tent and a bed rack. So if you're considering one of those, but you like the idea of having the enclosed space, the security, the hard walls, then something like this is definitely a great option in my opinion. So of course I'll put a link in the description down below to this where you can kind of go on their site and you build out the camper. But then what happens is it submits an order, they build it on Alibaba, and then that's where you actually do the payment. That way you've got the protections of Alibaba and all that good stuff. If you are just tuning in for the first time to this video and you want to learn more, I've got a whole playlist on my channel from the time that I ordered it 4 or 5 months ago, talking about how I ordered it, some tips and tricks there, where I went, what I did. And then I've got update videos, what shipping looks like and all that stuff too. So again, go back and watch that whole playlist if you want all the info on these things so you know what to expect from a shipping standpoint, from a delivery standpoint, what it's like to work with a trucking company. I've got all that stuff in previous videos. So definitely make sure to favorite that playlist and watch through those videos as well, because they're going to be super helpful for anyone considering this camper. To wrap up this video, as always, there will be links in the description down below to all my social channels. So of course I'm taking pictures of this thing. I'm going to take pictures on its first trip. Got other pictures of other things that I've done, but the camper is the big thing right now. So definitely consider following along on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want. There's also a join button below this video, which is just a passive way to to support the channel. It gets you early access to the videos and some other perks. So if you want to just say, hey, thanks for making the videos, that's a great way to do it. And it gets you some perks that you get to take advantage of in exchange. But if you want to be more involved with all things overlanding, there's also a link to my Patreon page down below. And the Patreon is super cool because we've got about 25, 30 guys in there now. And we chat every day in a 24/7 Discord. We do a once a month Zoom call. And then we are getting together a couple times a year for trips. So we've been to West Virginia. We've been to Land Between the Lakes. We've been to Hoosier National Forest. I'm out of the Midwest, so we kind of try and go east and then west so that everybody gets a chance to jump in. But it's been a ton of fun, and there have been a lot of friendships formed out of that. So if that sounds good, check that out. Then there's also a link to my website down below where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers, things like don't burn your wiener and it's a hot dog, or I hate people so I camp. So if you're into funny patches, dad joke type patches and stickers, or ATO merch, there's that stuff there as well. Definitely check out that link. And then last but not least, there's a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group. Now this group's totally free to join, has a ton of awesome members in it, but different from the other big groups. We don't allow bullying, we don't allow a ton of self-promotion, so if people come in and start dropping video links, they get kicked out. If people are super jerky, then they get kicked out. So we just try and keep it really nice in there so that people can actually ask questions and help others. So if that sounds good, check out Newbie Overlanders. But again, that will do it for this video. Stay tuned in the future though. There will definitely be a first trip in the camper. There will be a build out series coming on the camper. So this is not the end of the content for sure. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.